कोरोना वायरस को फैलने से रोका जा सकता है। खांसते या छींकते वक्त हमेशा अपने मुंह को रुमाल या टिश्यू से ढकें। हाथों को लगातार साबुन से धोएं। अपनी आंख, नाक और मुंह।
You go over to China. China. You take China. China. I love them. China.
Hours later.
When few were checking out their next holiday destination, their next getaway, 2020 had something else to offer them. Something so extreme, which is the new normal now. Day turning into nights, dusk into dawn, and 2020 becoming everything 2012 wanted to be. Not directed by Tarantino, but had every element of it. UFO sighting, gigantic tsunamis. Making it worse, global warming, floods, rise in water level, forever land disputes, Australian forest fire, deforestation. The country is burning at its peak, border control issues, life of brave soldiers are even at stake. Middle Eastern countries had their own issues to be dealt with. Syrian war, Iraq-Iran conflict, crisis in Yemen. Daily news included plane crashes, sports event cancellation for the first time in the history of sports. Another day, another news. George Floyd's death turned a hashtag of Black Lives Matter to a political issue. A country whose former president was a black, but still 1/3 of his own community struggled to get basic rights.
We as a society, particularly given our history, have to take this seriously.
Pandemic, which is a worldwide spread of a disease, can't be left untouched from politics. Major pandemic since 20th century. Spanish flu of 1918, which killed around 50 million people. Asian flu of 1957. Whether it's the Hong Kong flu of 1968, which lasted around 2 years. The HIV, SARS, which also originated from China. The uncurable Ebola, which devastated West Africa. And now COVID-19.
On the use of masks for control of COVID-19.
The question remains the same, whether India's lockdown was successful.
The total number of reported cases of COVID-19 in the country is well over 3 lakhs. Madhya Pradesh stands a place in top 10 for the highest number of positive cases, Indore and Bhopal being hotspots. Unsurprisingly, this is a time when they actually decide to lift the lockdown.
Lockdown.
It's hilarious that the country went under a nationwide lockdown at 500 cases.
बिल्कुल रिस्क नहीं लेने का.
And the lockdown gets lifted when the number crosses a staggering 3 lakhs. India really went from 2 lakh to 3 lakh cases in about 10 days. And as if this wasn't enough, the educational institutions of the state were going to conduct offline examinations.
Should have burned this place down when I had a chance.
Let's face it, the lockdown has been heavy on everyone. From people struggling to find even 2 meals a day, students especially have found it difficult to find the headspace required to study. On top of that, they were going to take offline examinations in an atmosphere where there lurks a highly contagious virus. A virus that has caused more than 4 lakh deaths all over the world in just 6 to 7 months.
सर्दी जुकाम बुखारी तो है कोरोना और क्या है?
Wait a minute.
A virus so contagious that one single patient, patient number 31, was responsible for more than 63% of the entire COVID-19 cases of the country of South Korea.
सर्दी जुकाम बुखारी तो है कोरोना.
Even a slight mistake on not just the student but on anyone's part in the chain of hundreds of people created during an offline examination session would mean a gamble between death or lakhs in hospital bills. Mamaji says that exams are important for a bright future. A few users countered by saying that they did not get a job even after clearing the Patwari exams. Also Mamaji, a future in debt or no future at all doesn't exactly sound like a bright one. I can't help but say that this is Desi culture at its peak, where no matter koi aanthi ho ya tufan, exam to dena hi padega. Well, thankfully, the exam process was halted and postponed in due time. Let's just pray that whenever they do take them, the situation is better.
India's was the world's largest lockdown, affecting a population of 1.3 billion people. No other country has come close, and nowhere has the virus inflicted such a mass exodus of humanity. Millions of migrant workers trapped in cities far from home, countless numbers of homeless with nowhere to isolate, and 250 million Indians already living below poverty. But well, our army of pot-bellied, pan-chewing, omnipotent government functionaries may well interpret migrants to mean those who are still limping home without getting killed en route, and exclude those who have already returned to their villages with giant blisters on their feet. According to the print, as of 24th May 2020, 667 migrants had died on the way. Unconcerned political parties and government were still engaged in a mudslinging match over 60 days since lockdown began. Now a painful Cornelian dilemma haunts the hapless migrant workers. Stay back home and give up a remunerative livelihood which will impact their families? Or return to the big cities where COVID cases continue to rise and fears of contracting the dreaded disease are rampant? Here, the viability and the desirability of the lockdown has become a huge question. With the benefit of hindsight, don't you think that we should have been given time? After all, 4 hours are not enough for a country to get its act together. But the officials just like surprising us. Because theatrics. But if the lockdown wouldn't have happened the day it did, how would have Mamaji got on the throne? So if someone tries to sell you a big fat bowl of they did it because it was urgent, would you buy it? Time for a reality check. While you are enjoying the privilege of watching Netflix and having delicacies on your couch, some NGOs prove to be our knights in shining armor. They are working to ensure that no one sleeps on an empty stomach. Zomato's Feeding India has raised 6 crore for the underprivileged. The Uday Foundation aims at providing 1 lakh hand wash, 1 lakh sanitizers and delivering a month-long food supply to 50,000 people. Through Give India, we can donate to verified NGOs and beneficiaries. Yuva NGO has been giving food to the slum dwellers and needy individuals amid coronavirus outbreak. Goonj NGO is already working to reach out to over 1 million people, basically 2 lakh families of migrants. Action for Pune Development is helping senior citizens of about 70 who need groceries and medicines. Janta Rasoi is offering food to the daily wagers who are out of work due to the lockdown. From 150 meals a day, they have reached 300 meals a day and plan to grow to 3,000 meals a day. And the list goes on and on. In fact, in Bhopal, some politicians have been providing food to the poor since day one. Oh well, can you guess who's actually helping and who's occupied in their political games?
What we are trying to say is कि कोरोना के साथ कदम ताल तो करना है मित्रों, बट उसे अपना दोस्त बना के नहीं चलना है गुरु. Successful or failed unlock, we still do not know. Although the graph does shows us something, but we won't go into that. Because we don't want that the next morning we get up and get another task to make this graph equal, either by clapping our hands and saying go Corona go, or by lighting Deepak and praying Corona bhag ja Bharat se. The everyday increasing number of active cases are, I guess, in the form of Mr. India. So they might not be visible and only the cure patient rate is visible. At places, we have elephants dying, girls being raped, forests being burned, tsunamis, cyclones and whatnot. And what we see every morning in the newspaper is the Sukhad and Dukhad khabars. Are these incidents not a part of the pandemic? Or are these cases not important as they are not as active in Madhya Pradesh? Have we come to a situation of isolating the states as well? Are we also going to go inside the bunkers of our state and rise only when we have Madhya Pradesh also sinking in that? When the government should not think that students की पढ़ाई की मेहनत हम बर्बाद नहीं जाने दे सकते and should think about all those students who were stranded at different places because of the national lockdown. The government is busy playing blame game between the previous and the present government. If we leave aside the political issues and only see the COVID structure of India, we see an increasing graph only, both in the number of new patients and in the number of recovered patients. The medical staff, police officials, cleaning workers have actually stood in front of the virus and served as warriors of our country, sacrificing their hunger, thirst, family, sleep, and whatnot. Even after tolerating stone attacks, molestations, and discredits at many levels, these people are standing strong to help the world be a better place to live in. Even the bank employees, the grocery store owners, the newspaper and milk vendors have proven themselves to be the second line against the virus, and even during the lockdown have served the people with all their efforts. This national lockdown gave us two aspects of the world. One, where we saw lakhs of homeless, jobless, and helpless migrant workers on the roads walking towards their hometown. And on the other side, of the privileged citizens who were safe and sound in their home with their parents, making something new every day or pursuing something new every day. In this pandemic, we are surely not in the same boat, but only in the same ocean. And we can come out of this ocean when we have everyone in the same ship and travel to the corner together. Only when we treat blacks and whites equal. Only when we treat poor and rich equal. Only when we have the same treatment for each and every citizen of the country, we can fight this virus.